Welcome back to Walsall Fan TV. It's fan chat time. Is this time going to be different? We're certainly hoping so. We got Phil, Frank, Daz. I'm not sure whether Darren's joining us. I had some issues on Twitter, so I don't know whether the message got through to him or not. Things we're going to be discussing. Can we sustain it? Worried about January, striking options. Have we broke through the wobble? Plan B, first half versus second half, and the cup games, Stevenage Tuesday and the Virtue, and then Gateshead on Sunday. So plenty to discuss. How are you thinking about things just generally, Phil, at the minute? Top of the league?
Well, evening, Simon, evening, everyone. I think it's difficult not to be positive at the moment. As you just said, we're top of the league. We're only just shy of the fabled 2 points a game, which is a general sort of thing to aim for when you're looking to get promotion. I think it's still a work in progress, and to be honest, I'm still a little bit surprised that we've done as well as we have done, bearing in mind the number of new players that have come in. I thought we might struggle to get things going as well as we have. I think there's issues. I think, as you've already mentioned, there's things that need to be discussed. It's not perfect, but so far so good as far as this season's concerned. Can we sustain it? I'm not sure at this stage. I don't know. And obviously we've got January on the horizon, which has traditionally not gone brilliantly for us, certainly in the last few years. There's things that can be improved on. I don't think there's any doubt about that, and I'm sure we'll pick the bones off some of those things as we go through. But it's difficult not to be overly positive it's difficult not to be positive at the moment when we sit in top of the league.
Yeah, Frank, it's much nicer being at the top than the bottom. The threat of a trapdoor that we've had in recent seasons, to be fighting at the top end again is good. Any overwhelming worries at the minute, or are you sort of just happy we're winning?
It's the first half. I'd rather go into a game. I'd like to go into a game where we don't concede first and have to battle back to win it.
The thing is, it's like a Rocky fight, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the same as last year. We just turn up in the last. You give us the ball, we turn up in we always had one half last year where we just destroy them. And for some, it's just that we need to. I'd rather just like to see us win a game outright, other than.
Be nice to just totally dominate a team.
Yeah.
I have a big one for Daz. Welcome to the show, Daz. Last season, being 12 points clear, in some respects, you think you're sitting pretty, easy job. But I think in some ways, maybe there's more pressure, and then you get complacent when you're so far ahead. And then when you start losing that's where the pressure comes. I think being just above everybody, whilst everybody liked to be 12 points clear, being just at the summit, just squeezing our way to the top, everybody knows that they're still in the fight, don't they?
If you offered me 12-point lead now, I'd take it. I'd take it every day of the week. I'll deal with the problems that come with it. But I get what you say. You become defensive. You kind of there were games last season, Bromley away, Carlisle away, where we just settled for a point. When if we'd have needed a result and gone for the win, it would have been the difference. So I get what you say, but I'd happily be 12 points clear today, and I'll worry about the problems that brings.
Yeah. With people last year, we had people saying, "Look, mind the gap," and I think that was like the wrong way around, really. I think previously it's teams that are chasing, say, mind the gap, and they're sort of chasing you down, sort of thing. But
I think we became everybody's cup final in the second half of the season. Everybody wanted to do us, and that while you're top, I guess that's still the same. But we were everybody's target.
Yeah. Well, of course, with this sort of the recent results, we had a bit of a wobble, so hopefully that's over. So, Phil, do you think we've broken through that wobble now, or do you think we're still in it?
Again, not totally sure. I was a little bit concerned going into yesterday's game because we certainly didn't want to go 3 home defeats in a row. I think that would have set perhaps more alarm bells ringing than maybe already were. I think our last 2 away performances have been against sides who I don't think are particularly good. Newport and Harrogate were particularly poor sides, but fair play, we beat them. You can only beat what's in front of you, and we did that reasonably comfortably in the end. But yeah, I think that, as I've said, there's issues, and a couple of them have already been addressed, haven't they? That there is this issue of we've fallen behind too many times in matches. We haven't kept enough clean sheets for a team that wants to be getting promoted. So I think they're the 2 main things for me. And Frankie's already referenced the difference between some of our first half and second half performances. So yes, there's things that need to be addressed, but I think, and again, I know we'll talk about it more later on. You talked about the plan B, and I think there's been a couple of games recently, the Colchester one in particular, where the lack of a plan B really stood out like a sore thumb. So in answer to your question, I'm not sure. We're finding a way to win games at the moment, which is a good thing. But even though we haven't been overly convincing in lots of those wins, we are finding ways to win matches, which can only be a good thing.
And I think getting Priest in has certainly helped, I think. Frank, Matt Sadler got us up near the playoffs, and then we fell away in his first season. In his second season, we're clear at the top of the league and then fall away. Has he learnt, or is that still a big concern, the end of the season falling off?
But you can't, because each year we're getting higher and higher. You can't fall off from better than last year. So what's the fall off going to be? Finish first and fall off to third, which is, I'd take that. I think he must have learned. He doesn't like it. He's making subs, and he's making subs, and he's making changes, he's making things, and the things last year that he did, he's kind of put up the sort of holes. There are problems in where I think he should change formation more often, but we know he doesn't. We know he doesn't do other stuff. But as we saw yesterday, he made 3 changes. It's not even the first time he's made 3 changes. It's not the first time he hasn't made it. He stopped making changes predictable, where he used to just only make changes every 30 minutes after the 75th minute and 85th minute. Both strikers would come off, and but different players, different system, and it looks a lot better.
Do you think as he's progressing as a manager, as he's learning a manager, do you think he's becoming braver? Because generally, it's brave managers are good managers, aren't they?
Not always. There are some brave managers that make very stupid decisions, but the test will be more at the end of the second half of the season when he's against tired players and he has to kind of take the brunt of it and all that. That's when you'll see if he's brave or not, because that's when we saw if he was brave or not last year, and he didn't make the brave decision until too late, until it was that you had to or it was over. So. I don't know. I'm not. I wish I could say, but at this current time, Matt Sadler isn't. We don't know enough about. We haven't been into enough tough time, and we'll see if we drop off next season at the end half of the season. We have to hope.
Yeah, we hope so. Daz, what do you reckon? Is he showing evidence that he's learning, Matt Sadler? You just take yourself off mute, mate.
Sorry, keep coughing. So I've gone back onto mute. I think on the last monthly roundup, we talked about the Not the Top 20 podcast that he did, where he kind of referenced some of the things that he saw. Players were tired in the second half of last season. We made more substitutions than anybody else in League Two. I think. If you look at the bench he got yesterday, it was pretty strong. Whereas you look at the bench that he got in the second half of last season, it wasn't as strong. I do think there's learning there. I think there's still things. I think he's dropping Conor Barrett. He's a brave decision. It proved right, and he came back refreshed again yesterday. I think there's a significant amount of learning, not just not just Sadler, but kind of education that's gone into the club generally. We're a relatively inexperienced leadership group, with Travella as well.
Yeah.
You know, it's Travella, the manager. Okay, Ben Sadler's been around a while, but in terms of the entire group, it's relatively inexperienced. They're all still learning, and I think you can see that. I think you can see they're learning as well.
Yeah, I think it's definitely moving forward in the right direction, isn't it?
Sorry, Simon. Yeah, just picking up on one of the comments you just made there about someone said that there's a difference between a little blip and a big blip, and one thing we know about Matt Sadler teams is that they are capable of going on runs, good and bad, and if we lose the odd game here and there, which we will do, of course we will do, then that's okay. But it's these prolonged 6-7 match winless runs where everyone, the wheels feel like they're falling off. They're the ones that we need to avoid. From what I've seen so far this season, I hope that this season might be a little bit more like this rather than the up and down that we had in last season. So yeah, I think he has learned some lessons from last season. I think I agree with what was said about his use of substitution. I think generally speaking, they've been better this season, and he is making more decisive substitutions. Like yesterday, making 3 changes at half time was a decisive move, and it made a difference. Yeah,
I think the first half, second half thing is. I think me and Phil were just discussing it before we went live. For a few years, we've been solid in the first half and then gone after him in the second half. Daz, do you think he's planning to do it like that?
No, I think we are pretty predictable in the way that we play. We play we're plan A, and plan B is just try to do plan A better, and plan C is try to do plan B, which is plan A better. I think you saw, I mentioned it elsewhere, that Darryl Clark set up a different way. Crawley set up a different way. He said Colchester set up a different way as well. And I think that you can prepare all week knowing exactly how Walsall are going to play.
Yeah.
And I think what you're seeing is Walsall having to adapt to the way that the other team has set up. And that's why you get the first half goalkeeper injury. That's why or injury, should I say? That's why you get a turnaround at half time where we're stronger. Because I think that you can, at the risk of repeating myself, you can set up knowing how Walsall are going to play, but you can also turn up and be different. And you're seeing that a bit.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. The monthly thing they do now with Matt Sadler, where you can sort of pose your questions. Strangely enough, my question was not answered again. But let me just, I'll just try and see whether I can just find it. I should have done that while you were talking, shouldn't I? I was just listening. Hang on. I'll find it in a minute. Yes, but there's a question for Matt Sadler, which pretty much was Dean Smith said in League Two, there's so many different styles. You can't play the same way every week. You need to be able to change and adapt. Does Matt Sadler think that he can get away with playing the same way every week? So I suppose that's the same question. Barry Collins from SNS Steelstock, one of our partners. Good evening. Popped in to say hi. Fantastic second half yesterday. 4 points better off than this time last season. Is that true?
Not
true?
sure.
I guess this is where we started the run last season.
But okay.
This is where we went 9 games.
It was after the FA Cup game.
That's it. Yeah. So
didn't we beat Notts County on a Tuesday night, the first game of that run?
Yeah, that's
was the Allen free kick. It's the Allen corner.
Yeah, because it was. I think it was the 2-2 home draw against Bromley was the last result before the 9-game winning run, I believe. Yeah. So yeah,
was a Bromley, then it was the 4-0 loss.
Yes, to
Yeah,
Charlton,
okay.
was it? Yeah.
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 It was the win.
Well, that's positive then. So, but obviously, as Daz says, pulling clear of the pack would be preferable. I think we need to lock in first halves, then we can win all the games. Yeah, the thing is, Frank, the first half, I think we looked like a lower half team. Second half, we looked like a top of the league team. That's about right, isn't it?
No, I think the first half it could be his relegation form if you do that in a game against Bromley. You have an open chance goal and you miss it. I don't know how he misses that chance, and then you give him the ball to score the goal. If you do that every week, you're gonna concede a load of goals. So we were lucky that Bromley aren't the greatest attacker side because you can see. I think they're just quite big and quite tall, so they try and get that one goal and then go and win it. That's why they were never able to get that second goal because they don't have that ability. It seemed to create something and get the goal.
Yeah.
When our players started playing well, and when it seemed the goals seemed to help us in our favour because they seemed to sit back a little bit more and let players like Jid get through. And eventually, letting Conor Barrett and eventually letting the players get through. But
how about that? How about that flick that set up Michael Cheek and brought a good save from Miles Roberts? That could have been all over if they already gone in, honey.
The one in the first or second? The
first half, yeah. The guy just sort of backheeled it and it just went straight to Michael Cheek.
I thought it was offside, to be fair.
They were calling for offside, I think. But Vinnie Harper, the guy just ran in front of Vinnie Harper, which we've seen that before. So that's something to be aware of. So Matt Sadler, obviously, it remains to be seen. Here's the obvious question. Are we worried about January, Daz?
I always worry about January. Our record in January suggests that we absolutely should be worried about January. In terms of losing players, I'm not that worried, to be fair. I'd be more worried if I was a Charlton fan, and if Charlton think that Daniel Carnew is going to keep him up as impressive as he's been, I'd be a lot more worried if I was a Charlton fan than a Walsall fan. I think January is an opportunity to improve. We will have to improve because everybody else will. We've seen it a number of years where we've been competitive, we've stood still or gone backwards, and other teams have improved. I think we need to improve in January, and it's an opportunity to do so. And it's about time we had a good January. I think
that would be
nice. We're probably gonna jump onto it at some stage, but next Saturday or next Sunday, Gateshead away, win that, favourable draw on the Monday, January becomes a lot more straightforward.
Yeah,
you get a good draw on a week tomorrow, and you can afford to do things in January. Big game next week.
Yeah, big 2 tough away games, isn't it? There's a lot of chat, obviously, about Daniel Carnew and making sure that he stays. I think we've got a much better chance of keeping him than we had with Nathan Lowe because of the situation at Stoke. I think they were sort of exposed a little bit and they panicked. I still think it was a real poor decision of theirs, but I mean, we'll move on from that.
Charlton are 17th, but they've had a bit of bad form at the moment. But I'm just looking. So I don't think they've got a good enough load of strikers. I think the more the fear is he goes to a League One side because
he can't. He can't.
Well,
he played for Charlton. He played for Charlton. He played against Stevenage, I think. He played against Stevenage in the League Cup.
I had a look at that, Daz. I don't like to share bad news, but it was that was in the FL Trophy, which doesn't count.
Wow. Well, is that right?
Yeah, I checked it.
Okay.
So it is possible that he could get done that. But I mean,
Frankie, I'll get my coat, mate.
Yeah, because I I checked it when he first came. I thought it was played for and we'd be fine. But then I rechecked it recently and then checked what the rule was. So the FL Trophy is doesn't connect the same. Phil, Finnegan, I sort of mentioned this to you yesterday, I think. The Blackpool manager said he was sending Finnegan here to get minutes and he'll be going back to them in January. So how big a loss would Finnegan be? Because it looks like he probably will be going. He's just started to hit form for us, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's done all right. He's done all right recently. Again, I mean, that there's a new manager at Blackpool, isn't there? So that might, whether that changes things or not, I don't know. But yeah, he's been all right the last few games. I think when he first came into the team, he came off the bench and he looked really good. Then the first few games that he started, he wasn't as effective, but he wasn't anywhere near fully fit. I think you've seen a much fitter, sharper, stronger Ryan Finnegan, and I think that was highlighted yesterday. If you look at the third goal yesterday came from Ryan Finnegan's press.
And that was a good challenge, wasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, injury time in the game, he's run, over half the length of the field just to block the Bromley player from clearing the ball. He charged the clearance down, and that created the space for Adoma to get through and square it to Courtney Clark. So I think that was an example of how much his fitness has improved. I think he had a good second half at Harrogate as well. Obviously got a couple of goals at Newport, got a goal again yesterday. There have been other performances that haven't been as good, and I do think he flips in and out of games a little bit. But yeah, certainly if he does go back to Blackpool in January, there's another player that we need to look to replace. Yeah,
I think Jamie Jellis is struggling in the aftermath of the betting issues. So maybe he'll come back more fresh in January, having not played so much. So maybe he'll be one in there.
Yeah, hopefully.
So, I guess that would be a bit of a risk. Daz, do you think Al-Kiki is one that might get recalled, or do you think we're probably more likely to keep him for the season?
I think more likely to keep him. I think I don't see him going back. I think he's going to fight for a place, and I think we'll keep him.
Yeah, because he's getting minutes. And it probably a big help. And he's really come to the fore of Kiki, hasn't he? Or is he that Kiki? Al-Kiki? I don't know. I've got in my head Al-Kiki. Anybody got any changes on that?
Jid.
He's called Jid.
Jid's easier.
Oh dear, that's a good one.
Sorry.
So
no, I was impressed. I thought he played really well yesterday. I like him, and I hope we do keep him.
Yeah, I think Vinnie Harper, at the Harrogate game, my cousin was there, and he was sort of pointed out Vinnie Harper as sort of like he's clearly the weakest link. Do you agree with that, Frankie?
No, I think I can see why people don't like Vinnie Harper, but he in the attack of the third, he's faster than when you can get him behind a defence, and when you can run at a defence. I think there's not a lot stopping him other than himself. So as long as he can get that ball and he can make the ball, he's really useful to pitch off. And I think even yesterday he didn't have the greatest game, but to be fair, he had about thousands of the ball. So if you have more of the ball, you're going to make more of the mistakes. And this is I do like him because he's fast and he's quick and he gets you off your feet. And when he runs a defence, he gets you excited. And I also do think yesterday there was not one time where his defensive skills isn't as great because he's small, he's quite nimble. He's a bit like Liam Gordon in that sense where he will make the mistake. But I think he's the only left-sided left wing back that we have at the moment. So you have to play them eventually.
Yeah, Mason Hancock, I think it's probably going to be end of January before he's getting back to us. So it is him or Jid looking most likely for that. Striking options. How nervous are you about striking options at the moment, Phil?
Yeah, quite nervous, to be honest with you. I understand what everybody was saying about Carnu earlier on, but it seems to me we're having the same conversations that we were having about Nathan Lowe last year, and the same conversations we were having about Freddie Draper the year before. The problem is that it's not going to be our decision. It's out of our hands. If Charlton wants him back, they'll take him back. Their slip down the table is worrying me slightly. I think the reason Stoke took Nathan Lowe back last year is because they panicked a little bit, the position that they were in. There could potentially be a change of manager at Charlton if their slide continues. If a new manager comes in, he might want to take him back and have a look at him. I hope all of those things don't happen, because I really like Carnu, and just keep everything crossed that he's here at the end of January. But I think a wider issue, I think if Carnu, even if Carnu stays, we need to look to strengthen the forward options. I said it last time. Jammer, bless him, is doing all he can, and actually I don't think he's done too badly the last couple of games. I thought he copped some very unfair stick on social media after yesterday's game. I thought he battled away manfully, particularly in the first half when the service he received was utter garbage, quite frankly. And I thought he did well at Harrogate as well. But we all know, we saw what happened last year when Jammer was flogged to death in the second half of last season, and I felt sorry for him at the end of the season. Presley, don't know when he's due back, but it doesn't sound like it'll be too far away. But really, you look beyond that. Roof's an unknown one. We don't know we haven't seen much of him yet. Hopefully we'll see a bit more of him on Tuesday against Stevenage, but we don't know how that's looking longer term. And Adoma will come off the bench and do bits and pieces for us, as he did again yesterday. But I still think if we're really serious about getting promotion, we need another good quality striker on the books for the second half of the season.
Now Jibes at your host on this one, Daz. Levi Amanchi is back in January.
Okay. Is that a question for me?
Yeah.
Honestly, I think he'll end up in Ireland.
Yeah.
I think he'll end up in Ireland. I think Phil's kind of called it right. They would probably want another option. Kind of a Reyes Cleary who can back up Carnu rather than take Carnu's place. And then if Carnu is his record is a bigger problem, but somebody who can come on and do half an hour. I'm with Phil as well. I don't know why Jammer gets all the stick. We know what he can do. He's not 21. He can't move around like he used to. He brings a lot. He brings a lot to the team as well as what he does on the pitch. Yeah. And I thought Harrogate, he was outstanding. I thought the last half hour of Colchester, he did really well. And we needed that physicality yesterday. He might not have won everything, but he didn't lose that much either. You sometimes you need that physicality.
Is that where we need to strengthen in January then? A striker that can sort of ultimately replace Jammer? So Elvis had sort of been doing okay, but obviously we don't know how long the injury is. It just seemed like not too big an injury.
I think you need to. Presley, I've said it a number of times. Presley isn't just about scoring goals. If he gets a dozen goals, that's great, and he probably needs to get to double figures. But any thought that he's going to get 15, 16, 17, I think he's wishful thinking. Presley's job is to pull teams, is to stretch teams, is to create holes for Carnu to attack and get into, and probably with him being out, you're kind of testing Jammer's mobility a little bit. I don't think you can. The way that we play, we're not going to have a number 9 that's gonna come in and score a bag full of goals. That big number 9, he's there to create holes for other people.
Yeah. David Pye's comment, Matt was up against 2 monster centre halves who were a lot younger. I think he did well.
I agree.
That's fair enough, isn't it? But I think as equally as Phil says, if we wanted Jammer to play 90 minutes every week, I think that would be perhaps foolish to
Oh.
sort of go into February in that position.
I think a lot depends. A lot depends on how Roof comes on. If Roof gets fit, if Roof scores some goals, if Roof doesn't attract somebody else between now and January, I think that is that's a worry for me. I'll be honest with you. A fit and firing Roof from the back end of January till April is an exciting prospect.
Yeah, I think the new head of recruitment. So I forget his name. That is very rude of me to not remember his name. But he's got good credibility. Is he going to be able to do the necessary to get us through January? I suppose that's the challenge, isn't it? And
that's what he's been brought in for.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I like this comment here. This one, bring back George Lato. How about that?
One of my all-time favourites.
I'd take a 25-year-old George Lato today and tomorrow and twice the day after. He's
absolutely.
How about this one? This is a defensive one. I'll give this one to Frankie. Does Harrison Burke get back into the defence next week to give Priestley a rest? What do you reckon?
I'm Presley can't play 90 minutes because and I don't know. It's a game next week and it's against Gateshead, and I don't think we need to play Presley week in, week out. And I think you give him the shout, or you give Rico Brown the shout, because I did like Brown. Brown has been playing quite well. Then he's just been a bit. It's not as physically as good as Presley. Yeah. I think make sure Presley's ready for big games because he's a big game player, and there are bigger games coming up, like the away match, like Shrewsbury home. We have to beat them, at like playing like the New York Notts County match. So I think next week, I think you can start Burke, or you start Burke on Tuesday and you play Rico on Saturday. I don't think Presley is needed to play week in, week out, because that just makes it higher chance of his injury.
Yeah. I think keeping the Priest fit is going to be key for us, Phil. Don't you think?
Yeah, I pretty much agree with what's just been said. I think Matt Sadler will use him as sparingly as possible, but I think it was the right thing to do to bring him in for the last couple of games. I thought when he came on for the last half an hour or so, I think it was against Colchester, he looked commanding, and I thought he was excellent at Harrogate away, which I don't think it was coincidence that was our first clean sheet for a while. Yes, okay, he dropped a Rickett for the goal yesterday, but I thought defensively he stuck to his task really well after that. Don't think any of us have ever doubted how good a defender Priestley Farquharson is. The issue has been his fitness and the number of games he's been fit for. But we've all seen in the last few weeks that when he is fit, when he is firing, he's a very good defender. But I think when Harrison Burke is back fully fit, I think he probably will come back in as the more regular starter, and Priestley will be used to come off the bench when he's needed to, and to start the odd game here or there. But he's a really useful squad defender to have when he's fit.
Yeah, I think getting Harrison Burke back in. The thing is, we thought that was just a minor injury, and it just seemed to have gone on and on, hasn't it?
Yeah.
You never really know. And
he's obviously aggravated a bit. Yeah.
On the basis of that, Elvis, is that just a little knock, or could that be something a bit worse?
Matt Sadler was asked about this before the Bromley game in his interview, and he said that his scan had come back better than they were expecting. Were Matt Sadler's words. So I think you're probably looking at another couple of weeks rather than maybe a month and a half. He didn't give a timeline on it, but he said his scan had come back better than they were expecting, which I suppose is positive. Yeah.
So, what would your lineup be, Frank, for Tuesday at Stevenage? Would you go as near as possible to a first team, or do you think we should be continuing to play the fringe and give minutes to the youth, such as Stan Straw?
I'd give Straw the start because he looked good as a defender, and I think he deserves to start. I would probably start Roof and Adoma, because at the moment we need Matt, and there's no point not playing Matt. I think we should also start a midfield of depending on who's fit. So if we have Burke fit, I think we should play Burke. I think we should also play Straw, and I think
Brown, yeah.
Whoever, because how many players? It's all dependent on how many players have to be from the first team. There's also that because there's those stipulations and rules, so it's quite a hard, tricky thing because you can't play your youth, you can't play your main squad. So I'd try and get a mixture of both, and I think I'd start the 2 strike for Verdoma and probably Roof, and if can Mayer play for us?
It depends. I think depends whether he's got a game for Tamworth. I think that's probably not likely, which is disappointing for me. I think it'd be a good game for him to show what he could do against a League One team. But yeah, we've talked about Ram a lot on here, and it seems like he just gets pushed further and further back. Rico Richards is more likely to get a start.
I think we need. There's a different story. I think in January. But in January, we need a creative player. We need a cam. If we're not going to use Mayer, we need a cam.
Yeah.
We need someone that can make correct balls and chase away shots because that's the main. I think one of the big troubles again.
Well, it'd be interesting against Stevenage if we did sort of try out like a 4-4-2 or a 4-2-3-1 sort of thing.
Maybe like a 4-3-3, like a.
I mean, we know that's not going to happen, don't we, Phil?
Well, yeah, no, I don't think so. You know what, Simon, I might not sound like a very loyal Walsall fan here, but I'm actually not too bothered about Tuesday night. I wouldn't lose much sleep if we went out on Tuesday. To be quite honestly, I think next Sunday and the 2 league games in the following week are far more important. They're the ones we need to get ready for. Yeah,
I think of the 2. Daz, I think of the 2, you'd prefer Big Gateshead, wouldn't you, on the telly?
Oh, absolutely. It's as I said already, Sunday is a big game for us. You know, unlocks the 3rd round if you get it right. You really don't want to lose there anyway. No question, Sunday is the far bigger game. I'd like to see on Tuesday. I think you can see Cox. I think you can probably give Jed some more minutes. Adoma up front with Roof.
Roof will probably get off the game, won't he?
I think he'll start. Well, I hope he starts. I want as many non-starters from Saturday as possible on Tuesday.
Yeah, and I suppose Connor Barrett wouldn't be classed as a starter, so I suppose he's another one. Perhaps you could still rest him.
Potentially.
I think I'm pleased that he dropped Connor Barrett. Whether he actually dropped him, or just felt like he needed a break, sort of recharge his batteries. Because he looked great when he came on, and he trying that cheeky Adoma like run down the touchline. I'm liking that. So he's picking up, learning from the experienced heads, and that's what it's all about, isn't it?
I think it was right to drop him, to be honest.
Say again.
I think it was right at the time. It was the right time to drop him because his performance against Colchester was not there. But then now his performance against Bromley on the other hand was there. So you have to kind of. I think that's the main thing that Southern had to take from last year is you can't play when a player's playing bad in form. You can't just force them to play and they'll just turn out good.
Yeah, trying to play through a bad spell, sort of thing. Yeah.
Because
maybe that's part of where you talked about Sadler's learning earlier. I mean, Connor Barrett kind of fell off the back end of last season to the point where he had to get suspended before Sadler stopped picking him.
Yeah.
Maybe he recognised he needed just to pull him out, give him a rest. So if we're talking about Barrett, the manager learning, just pulling Barrett out for a game and a half, there's an example for you.
Yeah, and I think he is learning. As far as changing formation, I don't think he's going to be doing that too much. But as Daz quite rightly pointed out, we have a plan B, and that's get the finishers on, and isn't it? That's the plan B.
Yeah. Can I just go just go into that in a bit more detail? You mentioned like Plan B earlier on, and I just wanted to talk in particular about the Colchester game. And I thought that the interview with Danny Cowley after the Colchester game was really interesting. I like listening to opposition managers talking about us. Sometimes it can be hilarious when you get a Darryl Clark or a Carl Robinson meltdown. Other times it can be more insightful. And I thought Danny Cowley made some really interesting points after the Colchester game. He described us as a pinch and punish team. Which I think if you think essentially that's what we try and do, isn't it? We're happy to let other teams have the ball and then try and rob it off them and bomb on and create chances. He said that Walsall tend to do better against teams that play 4 at the back. So they switched it up and went like for like and squeezed our fullbacks. They stopped us pinching and punishing them by not playing out from the back. They spun the balls in the channels. They got the ball in the space behind our centre halves and our wing backs. And he also said when Walsall have the majority of possession in games, they tend to lose, which again, the stats say that the three games this season where we've had the most possession, which has been Colchester, Barrow and Gillingham, we've lost all 3. So I thought it was really interesting that he almost kind of gave a blueprint to the rest of the managers in the league as to, this is how you do well against Walsall. And my concern against Colchester was all the substitutions that we made in that game were like for like substitutions. There was no change of shape. There was no change of formation. There was no change of approach. The midfield 3, which I think was probably our most dysfunctional part of the team in that game, remained the same from the first to the last minute, which I found very surprising. And that still for me is the issue is when we play teams who do what Colchester did, what's our plan B? What's our counter punch? How are we going to try and do things differently to try and overcome or combat teams that do that? Not every team will. Some teams will carry on playing the way that they play, and it will work against certain teams. And plan A, to be fair to Matt Sadler over the last few seasons, plan A has worked more often than not. But that for me is still an issue in games like that when teams come and do, let's call it doing a Colchester on us. What are we going to do differently? How are we going to mix it up? Are we going to change formation? What are we going to do differently?
I think for that, maybe the plan B, because in that game against Colchester, our wing backs were pushing up, trying to win the ball, but they weren't sort of high enough up the pitch to sort of impact on things. Maybe at times, maybe we need to sit off. Our wing backs need to just sit off.
I think that was one of the biggest successes that Colchester did in that game. They went like for like. They doubled up on Connor Barrett. Connor Barrett got absolutely nothing in the Colchester game. They squeezed him out of the game completely, and Vinny Harper didn't get much on the other side either.
Yeah,
I think for those games we need a creative midfielder, like someone who can take the ball and take a really good pass out of nowhere, just so you can get Mary Khan on the ball. Because we don't have that. We said that. We said we needed that. We've never said that. That's what George Hall brought to the table. Even if it's some guy who isn't that good but has that ability. If he's young or if he's really old, someone that you can bring on and in a tough game like this, and he can take the ball and he can just do a perfect ball to a player, any player.
We did that. As you say, we did that last season and sort of went to the box midfield, didn't we, with the 2 and 2. So that's an option that's open to us.
But I think to do the box midfield, you need to have a play that works in that system. We don't have a play like that just yet. And I think that's something we should look at January.
And that's the challenge, I think. If you normally, this is the problem, Daz. If you're playing 3-5-2 in that style, and that's where the majority of games you're playing that style, it would be expensive and difficult to bring in a cam effectively that you're not going to use in most games.
Yeah. I think there's we're not going to start Romain Sawyers. That's pretty evident from what he said.
Yeah.
But in some games, Colchester being one of them, somebody who can sit there and kind of quarterback some balls rather than. We're very predictable against Colchester. We went long. We were more Walsall than Walsall, in the way that we played.
We're out
And,
Walsall. Yeah.
Yeah, and we're not going to sign Romain, and principally because he's Sadler wants Duracell bunnies as much as anything. That's not a dig at Sadler, by the way. That's just where he's built his squad. It's very difficult to change what we do because of the players that he's kind of pulled together. We and you can't have someone like Romain who's gonna be interested when we've got the ball. I'm probably being a bit disrespectful here, and apologies if this comes out badly, but not so interested in winning the ball back when everybody else is doing it. I think we are one for all and all for one, and
Yeah.
I think we do need a plan B, but to be fair to him, I don't know how he does it. I genuinely don't know how he does it.
It's difficult. As far as Romain Snows is concerned, great player, but when he was in his 20s, how many times did he win the ball? He was great with the ball, but how many times did he win the ball? How many tackles did he win? He just weren't interested in that, and that's why he got coined as the lazy guy. But then he does the big when he's on the pitch. When he gets
And how many times is Warren to win the ball?
Pardon, say again.
How many times is Warren to win the ball then?
Warrington. Actually, Warrington's been a little bit better. I think.
A little bit.
Are we being a bit harsh on Warrington? What's your thoughts on Warrington, Phil?
Oh, I'm not gonna be too harsh on him. I don't think I'm too harsh on any player. I try and be as balanced as I can. I don't think he's great. I think he's perhaps been a bit better than some people have given him credit for. I think he's. Look, we know the job he's there to do, and I think he's done it better in some games than other games. Put it that way. But he's still, he's still relatively new to the club, and relatively new to playing sort of regularly at this level. So I'm prepared to give him a bit longer to show what he can do. Obviously, if you're taking him on yesterday, if you're taking him on the first half against Bristol Rovers, not very good. But if you're taking him on the 60 minutes he played against Barrow and the first hour against Harrogate, not so bad. Not so bad.
Yeah, I think you're not so keen, are you, Frankie?
No, I think Comley's the better shout. I honestly do. I think Comley wins the ball back. He does the simple things to perfection, and I think Comley, in my opinion, he tackles them, and I don't think that's my problem with Warrington. He sometimes just like last game yesterday, he just lose the ball and he had to foul them to get the ball back.
Yeah,
and it's just like, yeah, he could be a good player, but he could also I can see a good player in him. I just think at this point Comley is just a bit better because in those big games, Comley.
Where are you on that, Daz? What's your thoughts?
I think Comley, if jumping around a little bit, I think he's done really well in the last few games. I thought we were drowning for 20 minutes at Eastleigh, and he was one of the players that kept us after we'd scored. I think he kept our head above water. I saw yesterday he came on and did very, very well. I think he did a similar job against Bristol Rovers a few weeks ago. Comley's impressed me this season. We're clearly missing a player like Stirk. Not necessarily missing Stirk, but missing a player like Stirk. Maybe we've been spoiled a little bit by what we've seen recently. There's a number of midfielders: Finnegan, Jellis, Comley, Warrington. The only one I'd start every week is Lakin, and he was the one that got took off yesterday. So I think midfield is probably one of the areas they need to look at January.
Yeah.
I think the issue. The issue, probably the biggest issue I have with Warrington is I think when he's having a bad game, he doesn't have any impact on the game at all. He just becomes a passenger. He really struggles to impact games significantly. I think games tend to pass him by. I think the first half yesterday completely passed him by. He wasn't really winning any balls. He wasn't really keeping possession well enough. So as I say, I think that's an issue. And I think a more of a commanding midfielder, somebody who gets the game by the scruff of the neck. I think like Comley did when he came on. He just had an impact on the game. He was just more present. He was winning more tackles. He was keeping possession better. But I think that would be another area I'd look to improve on.
Yeah, I think because we've signed him on like a couple of year contract, we sort of really need to develop him, don't we? It's like our responsibility to develop him after signing him, and I think that's part of the issue. At times, I thought he sprayed the ball around really well, but he's not great, is he? He's not sort of like, oh, he's first one on the team sheet. And if we want to play League One next season, I know it's a long way to go, but if we want to play League One next season, he's not going to be there, is he?
I'll settle for that problem when we get there. Okay.
Yeah.
If we get there.
The model says we sign young footballers we can improve. Okay. Yeah. He's a young footballer who we will improve, and he will be better for the time he plays with us. You know, if he was the Finnish League 2 article, he'd probably be at Salford, not us. Or he'd probably be at Milton Keynes or Chesterfield, not us. Part of the deal in him coming here is we improve him. You know, that's how we get to a point where he's oven ready.
Oven ready. I like that term.
I know. That's kind of where I was coming. I know maybe sat on the fence on him a little bit, but I don't like judging any player after 18 games of a season. It's early days with any player.
Daz said something about midfield, and we need to probably improve that a lot. Need to improve that a lot in January, and I do agree with that. I think you look at that midfield, and I think when we play badly, the midfield does not exist. They don't exist, and you think why? But when we play really well, like in the second half of yesterday, the midfield was in it. They got a lot of the balls, and made a lot of the tackles, and made a lot of the moving attack of balls, and then we started to play well. So I think the midfield when the midfield are quite key, because when you're playing badly and someone's playing badly and the midfield aren't there, you can't do much. And the jokes of why do we sign so many midfielders but just kick it past them? The idea that I think there are games where you need that midfield, and sometimes that midfield doesn't exist. But I think the midfield is something we need to look into.
I think yesterday, credit to Bromley. I think, and I noticed this was a key thing with them last season. Their work rate off the ball is phenomenal. And particularly in the first half, they closed down so quickly when they haven't got the ball. And I think we just struggled a little bit with that in the first half. We got better in the second half because I think we were getting the ball wider a bit quicker, and Clark and Barrett coming on helped that. Gave us more options wider, but I think in the first half, I think we just got a little bit overwhelmed by them. They just pressed the hell out of us basically, and we couldn't get anything going.
But you can't do that for 90 minutes.
The amount of free possession they got because they harried and we knocked the ball out, or we knocked the ball long, or we turned the ball over was unreal in the first half. But you're right, Simon. It's very difficult to do that against a good side for 100 minutes.
Well, we tried to do it for 90 minutes a game last season, and eventually the players are just burnt out, and that's what happened. And we've learned from that. I think I still have the concern that we need to hold on to the ball better. But as I think as Phil said earlier, when we do keep the ball more, we end up losing. So it's a difficult one.
I think it's
what the stats say.
I think it's when you're winning 1-0, you just to be able to keep that ball. It's not it's because when you're like 0-0, when we lose the ball and how we play, that's fine. But it's when you're 1-0 up or you're 2-0 up, and you just constantly having a lot of pressure, and you think just if you had that ball for like 10 minutes at the end of that game, nothing happens.
Yeah, that's the challenge for me. I think because generally a team that wins the league is the most dominant team. And you play them, and it's like, hang on, these are silky skill. You can see why they're top of the league. But I mean, Walsall sort of don't really do that. But it's like, hang on, well, we've dominated them and they've beat us, and that's nice. But I mean, it's like the anti of what you would expect a team that are top of the league, like Swindon, for example, dominating, battering teams, even though they've got a bit of a rough spell, and Walsall are the opposite.
I think Eastleigh was the first time we've been 1-0 up in 2 months. I think we've been 1-0 up twice since Chesterfield.
Wow. There you go.
Well, Eastleigh, we just need to, against Gateshead, we just need to keep it solid first half and then do them second half. That's the plan, I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, a couple of things I nearly forgot to mention. There's the big sleep out. There's a link in the description, raising money for the food banks of Walsall and the Walsall Foundation. So if you want to help out those guys doing the big sleep, there's still opportunities to join them if you wanted to do that. I will be popping over there. I'm not sleeping out with them, but I'm popping out there. I'll be doing a bit of a video, and I'll be doing a comedy set for them, so it'll help them get to sleep, perhaps. So that was my laugh. I got everybody to laugh there. That's it. I'm working. It's working. Yay. And I think, I don't know whether some of you have seen, I'm organising a comedy show that we're going to have at Walsall in the Locker Lounge. So that's going to be 13th of February. We've got a couple of other events before then. So yeah, that's some fun stuff that's coming on early in the new year. Thomas is liking me joke. That's good. Yeah, I was Jalfi. Looking forward to that as well. So that'll be good. I assume everybody that's watching has subscribed already. We are getting close to 3,000 subscribers, which, bearing in mind the Walsall website or the Walsall YouTube channel only has 12. So if we can get past 3,000 this season, that would be absolutely awesome. And as always, anybody that wants to partner with the channel, just get in touch and we can help promote you, like we do for Mark M&S Gardening Services, the Ginger Apple, SNS Steel Stock, and Smash Burgers, and Studio Rav, who helped me with my website. If you haven't checked out the website, go and have a look, walsallfantv.co.uk. So go and have a check out of that. Question, when are the tickets on sale? That's getting very close. So if you I'll announce that on the channel when I get that sorted. But I think we're running out of time. We'll do a roundup. Hang on, what's this? Where and when can we get tickets to your comedy show? That is going to be, it'll probably be in the next 2 or 3 weeks. I think we'll get that sorted, get the tickets available. It'll be limited numbers, so it's only 120. So it'll be first come, first served on that. Right then. So yeah, Phil, confident going into the weekend? Stevenage and Gateshead, 2 wins. Is that possible, or do you think we'll be just happy with the 1?
As I've already said, I'm not that bothered about Tuesday. To be honest, I won't lose any sleep if we lose that one. Sunday far more important. That's a big one. We need to get through that, and then big week the week after. Obviously Oldham on the Wednesday, Shrewsbury on the Saturday, and yeah, please don't lose to Shrewsbury. I currently work at a school in for a number of reasons, but I currently work at a school in Shropshire. There's a couple of Shrewsbury season ticket holders who are fellow colleagues of mine, and a number of kids at our school who are Shrewsbury fans. So that would make the following week a lot easier for me. Yeah,
Shrewsbury are doing all right. I had a little cheeky laugh with Gabriel Sutton. I had predicted Bristol Rovers to finish bottom 8, and they're currently 4th from bottom.
Well, they're on a stinking run. Is it eight league defeats in a row? I think we started that run, didn't we?
Since we beat them, they haven't got a point.
Yeah, I think it's eight league defeats in a row. Yeah.
Which is Darryl Clark, obviously, we're all feeling for him. Nah. And so Daz, as we said, we're sort of going into a cup week. It gives us a bit of a break from the league. Get a few more players fit, get some more minutes into fringe players. And the youth, we got some good youth coming through. McLeod Alban, Stan Straw particularly, doing very well. So we'll see them again on Tuesday, I hope.
Hopefully we'll see a number of the younger players on Tuesday night. I'm not particularly fussed like Phil. I'd love us to get through, but I'm not particularly fussed one way or another. Sunday is what it's all about for me. With Sunday, Phil is right to reference Shrewsbury as well. Sunday, Wednesday, Wednesday, Saturday. Big week coming up after the next 6 days. If you go to Gateshead, take your coat because it's going to be cold.
And your binoculars.
Yeah.
And binoculars. It's at the stadium. It's at the athletic stadium, isn't it?
Stadium, yeah.
Oh dear. Where's this next one? Right then, and finally, Frankie, you're loving it, aren't you? What's it like for a young lad who's not experienced the joy of Walsall and success?
Good and also painful because I don't want to go for this again. I just want to get promoted. There's like any way to get promoted I'd take at this point. It's fun to win every game and go away and see the good wins, but at this point, up until yesterday, I was thinking just go to away games because the only way I'm going to see a win. So I think we push onwards. I think the game. I think the next 3 games, so the 2 games in the league and the game on Sunday, the game against Sunday, I think would be a really good win. Oldham, even a draw against Oldham would be good. I know Oldham are the top highest flying club, but I think they'll probably be quite hard to beat home. And Shrewsbury, you can't lose to Shrewsbury. You can't even draw to Shrewsbury. You have to beat Shrewsbury. There's no denying that. I think you have to, and you can't do anything else. You have to beat. If you beat them 4-0, that'd be a great feeling.
Well, we're hoping so. If we can avoid defeat in the next 4 games, then we'll be quite happy with that. As long as one of them's a win against Shrewsbury, as you say. Right then, thanks everybody for watching. Thanks for coming on, guys. It's been good. We're in a good position, top of the league, and another 9-game winning run would be nice. But I think if we just tootle along and stay at top of the league, I think we'll all take that as well. Nice one. Cheers. Thanks, everybody. Join the pain. Thanks for watching.